Hey y'all, this is Bulwark here with another video. This time around we're going to make a spec tier list for Phase 2 of TBC. There's going to be tons of different specs you can play. Some of them are better than others at either both or just one thing specifically. So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing that we're going to start with will be, let's go ahead and start with the Beastmaster. I'll put these up here at S tier. They're going to be one of the top damage dealers in SSC and TK, as well as they are also very good in the arena. So if you want to play something that can play both to the highest tier level, this will be a great choice. Let's go ahead and get Demo Warlock out of the way. I would put this somewhere in the B plus tier. It's great at one or the other. I guess it kind of depends on if you consider Demo SLSL lock for arena or if you consider it affliction. Since there's more talent points to go into Demo, I would still put that as Demo. So we're just gonna leave it up here in the B plus. There is a couple people who were top in charts, some of the top damage dealers through this raid tier as Demo, so it could probably be in both, depending on how great you are of a player, but for the majority of people, it's probably just going to be here, more so of SLSL for arena spec. And then let's go ahead and hop into Boomkin. It's one of those specs that brings something to the raid, although its damage is not very good itself. We're just going to go ahead and put it into C, mediocre at both PvE and PvP. I know 5 comps and some 3s comps will run this, so it does decent in the arena as well as it provides a huge buff for the raid. This is one of those classes that you do want one of in your raid. Next will be Druid. Well, Tank Druid specifically. We'll put this up here in the A tier. Basically, every raid's going to have, probably, if you're trying to optimize it, one Warrior tank, one Feral Druid tank, and one Paladin tank. Feral Druid is so good at getting threat, the mitigation on it's pretty good, and it just keeps scaling with each one of the phases, so we're going to put it up here. It's not great in PvP, so we're going to leave it in the section here that's just one or the other. Feral Druid, we'll probably go ahead and put it somewhere over here. It's great to have one in raid, especially if you're running a melee comp that, say you have 8 or 9 melee. Obviously, it's not optimized to have that many, but if you do, having 2 leader the packs is huge. So you could have a Feral Druid in the second group and your Guardian Druid in the main group, or your Tank Druid in the main group. PvP wise, you can run a couple comps with it. I don't think you're going to get much higher than 1800. You could probably hit 2k with it, but it's going to be quite the struggle. Resto Druid, we could probably put it up here in the A tier. It's going to be amazing in arena, pretty much through the entire expansion. Resto Druid's one of the best, as well as in raid. I'd assume every raid should have one Druid that's Resto, or at least we always do. It's just great for kind of rolling hots, keeping everyone alive, mitigating kind of the burst damage that's coming out on the tanks, allows people to have cast time, thing like that. Marksman, the damage on it's okay. I'd probably put it just in the C for PvE at least. PvP wise, a couple people will be running this. I mean, the aim shot's really nice, but other specs can get it anyways. So I'll leave it over here. It's one of those specs that doesn't really bring anything to the raid itself, but you could always have one if you need to. Survival Hunter, I'll put up here in the B. This is going to be another one of those specs that does bring something to the raid. It's going to have a buff, increases physical damage done, I believe, or something along those lines. So it's great to have one in the raid that's playing that, as well as in PvP. It does have a lot of crowd control and things like that, so it's pretty decent in 3s and 5s. I've seen a couple 2s comps run it, things like that. Let's go ahead and hop into the Arcane Mage. This is going to be one of your top damage dealers in Raid. It's not the best in PvP. Some people will run it in like 3s and 5s just for like burst comps, or right now Palm Pyro comps are pretty popular, so people will be running that as well. It is definitely one of the top damage dealers the whole phase though, so if you wanted to sit there and cast spells and do a lot of damage, that's a good one to choose. Fire is not really a spec that many people play. It can still compete in damage. It's just if someone really wants to play it, you can always let them do it, but I'd recommend just switching to Arcane if you actually want to be competitive. As far as PvP goes, you're not really going to see anyone playing that at all. Let's go ahead and put it down here in the D category. Frost Mage is the same thing. In Raid, it's not really going to compete with Arcane or even come close to it. But in the arena, it's going to be pretty good. So you'll see a ton of people playing Arcane Mage. In the arenas, whether it's 2s, 3s, 5s, it has so much crowd control. As well as if you play 2s, you know Rogue Mage is going to be one of those comps that you're never going to stop seeing throughout this. Holy Paladin, this one's pretty good as well. PvP wise, in the arenas, things like that, you won't see a ton of them. I mean, it's great in like 3s and 5s, depending on what comp you're running. We'll put it up here in the B. It's always nice to have at least one Holy Paladin in the raid who's kind of just sitting there, chunking out big heals, keeping tanks alive, things like that. Prot Paladin. This is another one of those things that every single raid is going to have come phase 2. I mean, even in phase 1, Prot Pallies are just going to be the best at tanking ads or tanking multiple monsters at the same time. And in phase 2, we'll see that even more on fights such as Morgrim, where he's tanking Murlocs. And just in general, for the rest of the expansion, you would always have a third tank that's a Prot Pally. It makes all trash so much easier when he can just run in, pick up everything, and just sit there and face tank it all while the DPS blows him up. Red Pally is going to be another one of those where it's pretty good at both. So in Raid, he brings a buff, which is phenomenal. Everyone wants to have more buffs in their Raid. The more buffs you get, the more damage everyone's doing. The lower your caps are on hit and things like that. PvP wise, they're still competitive. A lot of people run these in 3s and 5s. I haven't seen too many in the 2s that high of a ranking, but in 5s, you can always run like a turbo cleave comp with warriors, enhancement shaman, ret pally, then your healers, and they do very well. Let's see, disc priest. We could probably put this back up here with the resto druid. Same kind of concept. In PvP, you're going to see them in basically every arena. They're always going to be around. The dispels that they have, the healing that they do, pain suppression, things like that are great. And then in PvE, same thing as well. They're phenomenal to get pain suppressions off. If your tank's just going to be on a fight where he's getting completely chunked. They also have power infusion, which kind of makes arcane mages and later on Destro warlocks do insane amounts of damage just because they're in the raid. Holy Priest is going to be kind of your bread and butter healer. PvP wise, I highly wouldn't recommend it because they don't bring anything like the Disc Priest does to the table. But PvE wise, they're phenomenal, great healers, can raid heal, can single target heal, do pretty much all of the above. Shadow Priest we'll put up here in the B. PvP wise, a lot of people like to run like Shadow Cleave. They're good in 5s, can be pretty good in 3s. Not many comps run them in 2s. You might see like a rogue Shadow Priest every now and then. But it's not insane as far as that goes. As far as the PvP or PvE side, every single raid's gonna have a Shadow Priest. You can slap them into a group and they're doing nothing but getting mana back for the entire party. So they're a big mana battery for the party, keeps all the healers up there in mana, lets longer fights extend as long as they need to. Great to have around. And then let's see, this will be Assassination Rogue. I would probably put this... oh wait, no, this is combat actually. Let's put it up here. Actually, no, that's the wrong one still. Anyways, we'll go ahead and put this down there. Not many people are going to be playing this spec. It's not the best. You can definitely do without it in general. Sub-rogues are going to be one of the top damage dealers in Arena. Still one of the best through the whole expansion. You can expect to see them in a lot of your games. They just have so much utility, and their damage just goes off the charts the further the phases go on. And then, let's see, for the next rogue, we'll put this one in B. They do compete as far as like PvP goes. They're not the best, but in PvE with their abilities, they can do a lot just from multiple targets, blade flurry, things like that. But they also do competitive single target damage. I mean, they're not going to be the best or anything like that, but if you have one of the raid, he'll still compete as far as damage goes, as well as they can do expose armor, so your whole raid's doing a little bit more damage. Let's go with, I guess, Alley Shaman next. Alley Shaman also is one of those where they bring something to the table for the raid, so it's nice to have one around. We could probably put this up here in the B tier as well. They bring in hit, they bring in crit to the raid. Their damage is pretty good as long as they're, keeping up with mana pots, things like that to last through the fight. They give Wrath Totem, which increases spell power as well for their party. There's a lot of good benefits there in the raid. In PvP, you'll see them in 3s and 5s. Their burst damage is probably unmatched as far as how fast they can kill a target, so if they're playing with a comp with a lot of CC and things like that, and have a chance to cast spells, they can be quite deadly. And then Enhancement Shaman, kind of same thing as Ellie. PvP wise, they're great. You'll see them a lot in 3s and 5s, turbo comps. Any melee comps are going to be running one of these just so they can all get Wind Fury. And then in PvE, their damage is pretty good as well. They can keep up with a lot of these other classes. And they also bring Wind Fury to your party, Grace of Air, Strength Totem, tons of different things that help out melee groups. So, like I said, with the Feral Druid, if you're running multiple melee groups, or maybe 8 melee, 9 melee, things like that, you're going to want a second Enhancement Shaman just to make sure both melee groups are getting the benefits of it. And then Resto Shaman, I could put this up here in the same thing as well. I mean, it's not going to be the best at healing as far as output goes, but chain healing's great. They give more buffs from the totems, things like that. You also see them in PvP where maybe people are running like Warrior Ret Pally and they want Wind Fury. They run Shadow Cleave, quite a few arena comps that they're part of. Let's do Affliction Warlock. This one I'd probably just put here. They're not really common to see in the arena too much. They can be good with Unstable Affliction, just kind of making sure people can't dispel and things like that. But you're not going to see a ton of them in the arena. As far as raiding goes, you will see them in raids. They do provide a buff, so that's another one of those specs that you just want to have one of, just so everyone else is getting the benefits. When we get to Destro Warlock, this is also going to be one of your best damage dealers in PvE. Arcane Mage and Destro Locks are going to pretty much control the charts. Their damage is absolutely insane. They will be at the top of your charts along with your Arcane Mage the entire way, even through other phases. Fury Warriors going to be the same thing. They're another one of those damage dealers that they just do insane amounts of damage. You more than likely won't ever have more than one of them. If you end up having 2 warriors that are doing DPS, you'll have the other one as arms just to be buffing the raid. But their damage is huge. If someone knows how to play the class, they can compete up here with the Arcane Mages and Destro Locks. But you definitely will not see them in PvP at all. So it's just one or the other in this category for them. Warrior tanks. This will be, like I said earlier, I'll put this back up here in the A+ category. Pretty much every raid's going to have a Druid tank, a Warrior tank, and a Paladin tank. Warriors are probably, if not one of the best tanks in the game through all of the phases. They have so much mitigation, survivability, things like that. As well as they have Sunder armor from Devastate, so you don't have to worry about one of your DPS warriors sundering. And finally, Arms Warrior. We could put this probably in the B category. They're still one of the best in the arena to have. They do insane amounts of damage in the arena. A lot of comps run them. And then when you get to PvE, it's kind of the same situation as a lot of these other classes. Every raid's going to have one Arms Warrior just for the buff that they give. And that buff makes all your physical damage do more damage, which is absolutely huge depending on your comp. If you're running a comp that has very low physical damage, you might not need one. But even for like tanks and things like that, it's great to have one around. So this will end up being the entire tier list. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. If you like these rankings, go ahead and like and subscribe the video. Thank you so much.